Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Herronbrook Farm Kitchen. It is fantastic to have you here, as always, and today we're going to be making sourdough part 2. So I hope you all followed along with the first sourdough recipe. I'll put a link just up there so you can see it. Given that we've made the starter, what I thought I'd do is just really quickly knock up a sourdough just with white flour. The one that we made earlier, we made with rye and wholemeal as well as white flour. So here it is, not quite such a good rise as we got on the last one, and that's the thing about sourdough. It can be quite temperamental. It smells amazing, lovely crusty outside. Let's cut in typical quite tough sourdough crust, as you can see, and in there that amazing sourdough. Let's take another slice of it so you can see properly. That amazing sourdough texture that you get with a beautifully risen, beautifully uneven, absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about the ingredients. Incredibly simple. We have got 400 grams of strong white flour, we've got 10 grams of sea salt, we have 240 grams of tap water, and the star of the show, which is the sourdough starter, we're going to use 200 grams of that. So as you can see, beautiful bubbling surface. That had a little activation about 24 hours ago. We put in 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water, gave it a stir and just left it in the kitchen. It smells absolutely incredible. It's a kind of acetone pear drop sort of smell. This is the one we made the other day to make the rye and wholemeal loaf, if you followed along with that. So it looks absolutely fantastic. 200 grams of this is going to make a fabulous loaf. Okay, so I've weighed out the sourdough starter into the bowl of the stand mixer. I'm going to go straight in on top of that with the flour and the salt. I'm just going to mix the salt in a little bit just to mix it into the flour. I'm going to break into the starter, and then I'm just going to go in on top of that with the water. I'm going to put it on the stand mixer with the dough hook on, and we're going to slowly mix it until the dough comes together, and then we'll turn the speed up. So you can see how easily that comes together in the stand mixer. Certainly wouldn't want to try and mix this one by hand. It's a very wet and sticky dough. I'm going to give the sides a scrape down now, get it combined, and then we'll turn up the speed and knead it for 9 minutes. About halfway through the mix now, you can see it was all stuck to the bottom. It's come away quite nicely now. It's still very soft, very sticky, but it's starting to change in texture. Looking pretty awesome. So here we are now, nearly at the end of the mix. We've got about a minute to go, and you can see it's all soft and silky, holding together nicely now. Nothing stuck to the side of the bowl. Just about ready to come out. Okay, time has just gone off, so let's get it out of the mixer. So I've lightly oiled the bowl. I'm not going to turn it out onto the table this time as I did with the last sourdough, because this one is a super sticky one. So I am going to literally just scoop it up and drop it in and try and avoid getting absolutely covered in it. And then I'm just going to roughly make sure it's in a decent shape, no big spikes. That's it. I'm going to cover it with cling film. We're going to sit it on the side. It's going to rest and prove overnight for about 12 hours, and tomorrow morning we'll come back, shape it and get it in the bowl. I'll see you tomorrow. Right, good morning, welcome back. It is about 7:30 in the morning. The sourdough has had a really good prove overnight. It's very delicate, it's very bubbly, it's very airy. It's possibly gone slightly over, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Get rid of the cling film. So what I've done is I've got my cane banneton and I've lined that with some rye flour, which I think always gives a really good effect. And I'm just going to get some flour down on the table here, and we will scrape this out onto the table. Amazing smells going on, still very sticky, but we will get this shaped up shortly. Scrape out the last of it from the bowl, and then we just use the plastic scraper just to bring this together into a ball, and we don't want to knock every bit of air out of it at this stage, but we do want to reduce it in size. And get a good tight seal on the bottom there. A bit more flour. There we go. And we'll just pop that in the bowl. And there it is. So I'm going to stick that back on the work surface over there, cover it with a baking cloth, and we'll leave it probably for 5 or 6 hours. I will keep checking it after 4 hours or so. What I'm looking for is it to come right up to the surface and just slightly dome over on the surface. So as soon as it's ready to bake, I'll come back to you. Just a quick pro tip for you: if you're doing a lot of baking, you're going to end up cleaning up a lot of flour off your worktop. Don't use a dishcloth for doing that. That will come later. Just get yourself a small brush like this. I've got this tiny little dustpan and brush set, which is absolutely awesome. It's a much better way to get the flour off the table. And once you've got most of the flour off, you can then use the dishcloth. Okay, welcome back. Oven is preheating, 240 degrees. We've got a steel tray in there. Let's take a look under the cloth. And as you can see, we're almost up to the top of the banneton. It's not going to come any further. I've left it like this for about an hour and it's not getting any bigger, so we need to get it in the oven. So if you watched the last sourdough recipe, you'll know the form here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the very hot tray out of the oven. I'm going to tip this onto the hot tray, slash the top quickly, and get it into the oven as quickly as possible. So not much time during that for commentary. Let's jump in and get that done. Give it a hit of steam, and we'll turn it down to 220. And we're going to leave it at 220 degrees for 5 minutes, then we'll turn it down to 200 for another 25 minutes. So 30 minutes of baking in total, and a second hit of steam. And I'll come back to you in 30 minutes when it's baked. Okay, that's it, timer's gone off, let's get it out. Let's turn the oven off. Wowza, look at that bad boy. Absolutely fabulous. So there we go. We're going to leave this just to cool on the rack now for a good couple of hours. Make sure it's completely cool, and then we'll cut into it and we will take a look. So I'll see you in a couple of hours. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed baking it. It's been fabulous to have you here again today. Do give this a try at home. It really is very, very straightforward. And we'll see you on the next one.